Hello, everyone. My name is Javier Garza, and I want to say hello to Brownsville ISD and the families of English learners. Today, I am going to be sharing a book with you called Charro, Claus and the Tejas Kid, the story of Santa's Mexican cousin. And this story goes something like this. It's a cold Christmas Eve night when a boy named Vincent is getting ready for bed. He's spending Christmas Eve with his Tío Pancho, who lives on a farm near the U.S.-Mexico border. And Vincent is tired after having done all his chores, which included feeding the chickens and milking the cows. So Vincent, he is ready for some much-needed sleep. But no sooner had Vincent closed his eyes and gone to sleep when he is awakened by the thump, thump, thump sound of someone walking across the top of the roof. Who's up there? He hears his uncle cry out from the other room. But there is no answer. Next, Vincent hears the sound of his uncle's heavy feet as he is running down the stairs. Now, Vincent has always been bien curioso. He wants to know what's happening, what's going on. So he runs over and looks through the window and sees that his uncle is climbing up a ladder to the top of the roof. Now Vincent puts on his little boots and his coat, and he too runs down the stairs. Then he begins to climb up the ladder, but he does it very quietly because he doesn't want his uncle to know that he's there. But when he reaches the top, he is shocked by what he sees. For standing on top of the roof is his Uncle Pancho talking to Santa Claus, and Vincent can't believe what they are saying. Uncle Pancho calls Santa Claus cousin, and Santa Claus calls Uncle Pancho primo. And Vincent's like, my Uncle Pancho and Santa Claus are cousins. They're primos, but how can this be? Santa Claus says, my cousin Pancho, my primo. I am so far behind this year. Oh, I wish I could help you, primo, says Uncle Pancho. You can, says Santa Claus. You can help me deliver the presents to all the kids that live along both sides of the U.S.-Mexico border. I can do that? Sure you can, says Santa Claus. We are, after all, as you say, familia. We family. Now Vincent can't believe his Uncle Pancho and Santa Claus are cousins. And Santa Claus asked Uncle Pancho, say, do you still have that outfit of yours, the one you used to wear back in your charro days? Of course I do, says Uncle Pancho. Once a charro, always a charro. But it don't fit me too good, primo. I put on a little bit of weight from my younger days. Never mind that, said Santa Claus. And Vincent watched as Uncle Pancho and Santa Claus both shot straight up into the sky and came down one after the other down the chimney. Now, Vincent didn't want to miss whatever it was that was going to happen next, so he rushed down the ladder and ran over to the living room window just in time to see through the window that his uncle was already wearing his old charro outfit. Now, Tío Pancho wasn't being exactly honest when he said he had put on just a little bit of weight. His shirt barely closed around his big round panza, and his jacket looked like it's getting ready to come apart at the seams. Even his guitar was missing a lot of its strings. But then Vincent watched as Santa Claus reached into his pocket and pulled out a handful of gold and silver glitter, and he sprinkled it over the top of Uncle Pancho's head, and Pancho began to glow. He grew brighter and brighter till finally he was transformed. Gone was that old charro outfit. In its place, he now wore a golden charro jacket with matching trousers. That's another word for pants. He wore cowboy boots adorned with silver spurs. He wore a great big mask to conceal his identity, and a big flowing cape, and a great big charro hat with gold sequins and blinking Christmas lights. You look magnificent, said Santa Claus. But now we need something for you to ride in. Say, do you still have that old wagon? That wagon you used to ride in when you were a little boy? Why, yes, it's in the back of the barn, but it's old and it's missing a wheel. Never mind that, said Santa Claus. Let's go to it right now. And then Vincent, hiding behind an opal, being careful not to get too close, because we all know what happens if you get too close to an opal. He watched as Santa Claus stood in front of that wagon like a baseball pitcher at a game. And he reached into his pocket and he pulled out a snowball. Then he flung that snowball at the wagon. And the minute the snowball hit, it began to turn into a brand new wagon as white as morning snow. Vincent couldn't believe it. Now we need something to pull this wagon, said Uncle Pancho. Say, do you still have those old burritos of yours? Asked Santa Claus. You mean Mando, Tando, Freddy, and Little Joe? Why, yes, they're asleep in the barn. But they're old. They go to sleep early now. Let's go wake them up right now, said Santa Claus. And then Vincent, hiding behind a haystack, being careful not to get too close so they wouldn't see him, watches as Santa Claus sprinkles glitter over the top of each burrito's heads. Suddenly the burritos begin to glow and they begin to rise higher and higher into the sky till their hoofs no longer touch the ground. And then lucha libre masks and capes appear on all of them. They become the incredible flying burros. Vincent can't believe it. They look magnificent. Next, Santa Claus tells Uncle Pancho, now let me show you how the magic of Christmas works. And he gives him a bag that looks like an empty bag, nothing special about it. But then he tells him, but reach into the bag. And when Uncle Pancho reached into that empty looking bag, he pulled out present after present after present. A teddy bear, a bouncing ball, a model airplane, a rocking horse. And Santa Claus told Uncle Pancho, no matter what house you go to, just reach into the bag and you will pull out the perfect present for whatever children live in that house. Once the bag is truly empty, it's time to move on to the next house. That's Christmas magic. Now, Santa Claus said, so will you help me? And Uncle Pancho said, yes, of course I will, primo. We are familia. Now Vincent thinks, I'm familia too, and I want to help, but how? But then he saw his chance. When Uncle Pancho and Santa Claus were hitching the burritos to the wagon, he snuck inside the bag. Uncle Pancho grabbed the bag and put it in the back of the wagon without really knowing that his nephew was there. And then they were off, ready to deliver presents to all the kids that live along both sides of the U.S.-Mexico border. Off they fly, going higher and higher. Vincent can't resist. He has to peek from inside the bag. They're flying so high that the mountains all look like little anthills. Then they reach the first house. And Uncle Pancho grabs the bag and walks across the roof, his silver spurs making clink, clank, clink, clank sounds as he walks. He walks over and goes down the chimney. He walks over to the Christmas tree. Clink, clank, clink, clank. He reaches into the bag and he pulls out a brand new doll. He reaches in again and pulls out a brand new racing car set. He pulls out present after present after present till he gets to the last present. A present that doesn't want to come out. He pulls and he pulls till finally he pulls out his nephew Vincent. He says, Vicente, ¿qué estás haciendo aquí? What are you doing here? But before Vincent can answer, they hear a voice that says, ¿Tú no eres Santa Claus? You're not Santa Claus. And they see a little girl standing at the doorway, a little girl who looks like she just woke up. And she might wake up the whole house too if they don't stop her. Uncle Pancho goes up to her and says, it's true, I am not Santa Claus, but I am his Mexican cousin, he says. And the little girl laughs and says, Mexican cousin? Since when does Santa Claus have a Mexican primo? If you're really his primo, what's your name? Now, Uncle Pancho didn't know what to say. Santa Claus had not told him a name. But then Vincent, who was always pretty bright, looked at that great big Charro hat and said, his name is Charro Claus. And he rolled his R's when he said it. He said, Charro Claus. The little girl laughed and said, Charro Claus? That's so funny, but what's a charro? Vincent told her that a charro was like a Mexican cowboy that sings a lot and can play guitar. And that's when the little girl noticed Uncle Pancho's guitar. And she said, can you play me a song? And Uncle Pancho says, claro, of course. What kind of a charro would I be if I turned down a request for a canción from a little girl. And soon, the little girl, as she listens to Uncle Pancho play his guitar with a little mariachi riff at the end, the song is so beautiful that she falls asleep. Queda bien dormida. Uncle Pancho tells Vincent, come on, mijo, let's go. In the morning, when she wakes up, she will think we were just a sueño, just a dream. And then they're off, ready to deliver presents to all the kids that live on both sides of the U.S.-Mexico border. Back and forth they go, delivering presents in places like El Paso and Ciudad Juárez, Roma and Miguel Alemán, Rio Grande City and Camargo. Back and forth they go, making sure. Yes, they even remembered Matamoros. They leave presents for all the kids that live on both sides of the U.S.-Mexico border, especially Brownsville. Now soon, when they get to the house, after they finish delivering all the presents, well, Uncle Pancho's tired because adults get tired. They get tired pretty easily sometimes. But not Vincent, because Vincent's a kid, and kids never get tired. And he says, I want to do it again, Tio. And Uncle Pancho says, no, mijo, this is just once a year that we deliver presents. Then I want to do it next year. And Uncle Pancho thought, maybe you can. And he reached into his pocket and he pulled out a cascaron that he cracked that Easter egg over the top of Vincent's head, covering him in red, white, and blue confetti, and Vincent was transformed into the Tejas kid. And so it came to pass that every Christmas Eve, Charro, Claus, and the Tejas kid deliver presents to all the kids that live on both sides of the U.S.-Mexico border. So if you happen to be along the border one evening on a Christmas Eve and you see a pack of flying burritos pulling a wagon behind them with a man dressed in silver and gold wearing a mask, don't panic. Don't call the government. It's not a UFO. It's just Charro, Claus, and the Tejas kid. And if you listen to them closely, you might even hear them as they tell you, Merry Christmas and Feliz Navidad. And that's the story of Charro, Claus and the Tejas kid. Muchas gracias.